Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sue's Barbie Love. Tonight, I'm going to be sharing two stories that came from the Appalachian Mountains. These stories were told for generation to generation to generation. There's usually morals to these stories, a little spooky, a little odd, a little strange maybe in today's world, but this is how parents used to teach kids, you better be good, you better be nice. This is what happens to you when you're ugly. Yes, they weren't afraid to scare kids in those days. Kids today would probably just laugh at them, but I'm going to share them. It's history, it's fun, and I'm also going to show my latest doll that I got, my sweet Sue. So let's get started right after I show some spooky Halloween scenes. This is my Sweet Sue that I got at a recent flea market. Sweet Sue's were made by American Character from 1948 to 56, and they range from 15 to 31 inches tall. This one is about 17. I cleaned her dress and it came so pretty and clean. Got this little flower right here, and here's a little slip, and her underwear. Here's a little slip. It's so cute with the frill on it. Got a nice pretty bow on the back. That buttons right here. Her hair did really great. So glad I bought this doll. She's got the little socks and shoes. And it's so hard to find these dolls completely dressed. Her shoe did come loose right here. But I'm going to leave it like that. You know, there's just some things you got to accept when you collect old dolls like I do. But Sweet Sue's going to sit right here and she's going to listen to the tale of Kelly Pole. This is the tale of Kelly Pole. I tell you the tale of an old lady who lived alone near the forest. She did have two dogs, though. One was named You Know, and the other one she named I Know. Something got to bothering that old lady, prowling around her house at night, and she was awful afraid. She had an old door made of old boards, and she just knew something would get in at it. Well, come a freezing night one night, that old varmint came around, and it was going around and about the house, around and around, trying to find a crack or some way to get in. It finally got to working its tail through one of the cracks of the boards of the door, and it said that that tail was 16 feet long. So it ran that tail through that door all the way in. Well, that lady, she wasn't dumb. She got her an axe and she chopped its tail off. Well, that thing got to running after that. She sent You Know and I Know to chase it. They took off after it. So they chased it about 9 or 10 miles away from the house, down into the big timber woods. And they treed it. And they sat there and they barked at that thing sitting up in that tree. They barked till they got tired. And then they went back home. About as soon as they got back home, they heard this something a moaning and a crying and carrying on. And it was saying, You know, I know, all I want's my telly pole. And they tell me that today, if you go down into those big timber forest woods and the wind's blowing, you can still hear the sound. You know, I know, All I want's my telephone. Don't be afraid, Twixty. So the tale of Telly Pole was a good story to keep kids when you lived in the hills and in the mountains from wandering too far off into the woods, to keep them closer to home so they would not get lost. Yes, you had to frighten kids to keep them safe. This next story is called To the End of the World. Stay to the end and I'll tell you what I think the moral of the story is. If you have a different idea, you let me know in the comments below. There was a man that married and he had a girl, and his wife died, and he married again, and he had a girl. The one he had by his last wife was awful ugly. The one he had with his first wife was pretty. The second wife was jealous of the first one and wanted to destroy her. So she had heard that there was a lot of animals betwixt their home and the end of the world where they went to get their water. So she sent her stepdaughter out after some water to try to get her destroyed. The first thing the girl come upon on her way to get water was a bull, and she spoke friendly to it, and it spoke friendly to her, and she went on. She went on and she met a bear, and she spoke friendly to the bear, and the bear spoke friendly to her, and she went on. She went and met a painter. She spoke friendly to it, and it spoke friendly to her, and she went on. She went on and met a wild boar, and spoke friendly to it, and it spoke friendly to her. Went on and met a hackle laying in the road, and she went around it and went on. She met an old man, and she called him Grandpa, and it pleased him, and he made her go in and have dinner with him. Then she went on. She found three little red foxes, laying in the road. One said, "Pick me up and wash my face and lay me down right easy." So she picked him up and she washed his face and she laid him down right easy. The second one said, "Pick me up and wash my face and lay me down right easy." So she picked him up and she washed his face and she laid it down right easy. The third one said, "Pick me up and wash my face and lay me down right easy." So she picked it up and she washed his face and she laid it down right easy. And the three little foxes says, "Let's make three wishes." The first one said, "I wish that every time you blow your nose, you would blow out silver." The second one said, "I wish every time that you spit, you would spit out gold." And the third one said, "I wish that every time you wash your face, you'd be 10 times prettier." So the girl went on and got her water and went back home. She began to tell her stepmother what had happened, and she happened to blow her nose, and out came silver pieces. The very moment she started telling about it, out of her mouth came pieces of gold. And when she washed her face, she was the prettiest thing they had ever seen. The stepmother was mad and said, "If that be so, I'll send my girl." So she sent her girl. Her girl was kindly high-headed. She met the bull and spoke ill to it, and it horned and hooked her and knocked her all around the road. She went on and met a bear. She spoke ill to it, and it like to tore her up. She went on and met a wild boar. She spoke ill to him. He jumped on her and like to tore her up. She also met a painter, and it like to tore her up. She went on and met a hackle in the middle of the road, and she kicked it out of the road, and it jumped back and like to tore her all to pieces. She went on and met an old man. She spoke ill of him, and he cut a limb and gave her a good whooping. She went on and found 3 little foxes laying in the road. One said, "Pick me up and wash my face and lay me down right easy." She picked it up and she washed its face, but she threw it again the ground. The other one said, "Pick me up and wash my face and lay me down right easy." She picked it up, she washed its face, she threw it again the ground. The third one said, "Pick me up and wash my face and lay me down right easy." She picked it up and she washed its face and she threw it again the ground. And the 3 little foxes said, "Let's make 3 wishes." The first one said, "I wish that every time you blow your nose, you would blow out yarn." The second one said, "I wish that every time you speak, you would spit up blood." And the third one said, "I wish that every time you wash your face, you'd be 10 times uglier." So she went on and got her water and went back home. Her mother met her and began to talk to her. The girl blowed her nose and out came yarn. She began to talk and she spit out blood. When she washed her face in the water, she was 10 times uglier than she was. And you know she was a pretty thing then. When the husband came home in the night and saw what a mess the house was in and what an ugly girl his old woman had brought in, he threatened to have her hanged for a witch. She and her ugly daughter ran away into the forest, and the wild animals ate 'em up. The pretty girl and her father lived happily ever after. I feel like the moral to the story of To the End of the Road is if you're kind and good to others, then kindness will be repaid. And if you're ugly inside, it's going to come out and you're going to be ugly outside. Bad promotes bad, good promotes good. That's just how I feel about it. Oh, if you got different thoughts, let me know in the comments below. And I hope you enjoyed this. I have a little riddle. One more thing, the little riddle. I'll put it up here, see if you can solve it. I won't put the answer in until my next video. So if you want to know the answer, you have to watch my next video. I'm going to write it up here so you can read it and try to figure it out. It's getting dark on me. King met a king. King met a king in a long lane. To the king, what is your name? Silver is my saddle, brass is my bow. I've told you my name 3 times in a row, and yet you do not know. So tell me what you think that means, and I'll have the answer to that in my next video. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Like, square, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe, and catch you later.